It is Friday, September 5th, and there has been so much happening in the mortgage world over the last 30 days, specifically when it comes to the mortgage market. I'm so excited to share. This is a live look at what is happening behind the scenes as far as mortgage rates go. Over the last month, over the last 30 days or so, we started the month a little bit rocky, but we are starting to really pick up some momentum as far as gains go. Within the last several weeks, we have gotten some really big news from an inflation standpoint. This week, we have gotten some big news as far as employment numbers go. The BLS jobs report actually came out this morning, and you can see the market reacting to the jobs report numbers coming in lower than what the expectations were. And all of this is pointing to the Federal Reserve meeting at the end of this month, September, and that all signs are really pointing to, at this point, they're really going to have to do a rate cut. There is speculation that it could be as little as 0.25 and even as much as 0.5% as far as a rate cut goes. Again, just the softening of the labor market is really that driving force. So a lot of people are saying, well, if the Federal Reserve is cutting rates later this month, why am I going to go ahead and buy a house? Well, it's important to understand that there are two different sets of interest rates. You have your Federal Reserve, which is the Fed rate, or the federal rate, and then you also have mortgage rates. The federal funds rate is the rate at which banks lend money to each other. Think car loans, personal loans, student loans, credit cards, anything involving money from one bank to another. Mortgage rates are impacted by your overall economic activity, just the same way that stocks are, all based off of demand. And as demand for mortgage loans goes down, mortgage rates go up. And then as mortgage demand goes up, interest rates come down. Because of this anticipated Federal Reserve cuts, investors are already starting to pour their money back into mortgage-backed securities because they are anticipating that this is going to be a less risky investment and it's going to be more profitable for them. So in turn, it's starting to bring interest rates down. Now, when people talk about, oh, well, I want to wait, one of the things to also consider is that the reason that we're seeing these gains over the last 2 weeks is because investors are already pricing in the Federal Reserve cut that's coming later this month. So the improvement that we're seeing in mortgage rates is already factoring in the rate cut. If we see any more movement on the actual day of the rate or the Federal Reserve meeting, it's typically because of the commentary that Jerome Powell will give during his press conference. But as far as the actual rate cut goes, we're already seeing the improvement in the market. Another thing to consider too is all these people who are talking about waiting for the mortgage rates to drop. I saw a statistic that said that for every 1% rate drop, that 5 million new home buyers are entering the market because they think that there is just going to be so much more buying power. When, you look at historically, people in 2019 were at, a little bit higher interest rates and they bought and then they were able to refi into a lower interest rate, think COVID, and but not have to pay that ridiculous price. Whereas the people who bought during COVID when interest rates were down were facing all kinds of craziness, waiving appraisals, waiving inspections, offering over ask, all kinds of banana stuff. So let's look at the numbers. People who are saying, yeah, but I want to wait until the mortgage rates come down. That's all fine and well. But look at a house at $550,000 today. Financing $440,000 at an interest rate of 6.875%, monthly payment $2,853 based off of principal and interest. But yeah, waiting for the interest rate to drop sounds great, but isn't it amazing how you actually the monthly payment would be, a bit lower. You're going to be paying $40,000 more because the down payment's going to go up because that same price, that same exact home is going to have appreciated in value. Whereas if you bought the home today, held on to that mortgage for a year or two, took advantage of a rate drop, who really wins in this situation? The person who bought the house at $550,000 and financed at 6.875%, who then was able to get their payment down $500 a month, or the person who paid $50,000 more, spent $40,000 more just because they wanted to wait for the lower interest rate. Part of our job in the real estate world is to be an advisor and to help walk people through such a large decision. And that's one of the things that we need to consider and show our clients is that there is a real cost of waiting for mortgage rates to drop. Stay tuned for more Fed news. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.